This one's literally just me rambling for a bit, so if you want to skip it, I totally understand. Hey there, kiddos, and welcome back to the channel. I'm Uncle Frank, and that you are having a great day, and in today's video, I'm going to sit back in my not squeaky chair, my comfy chair, relax, and bemoan the fact that I was not smart enough to acquire a capture card in advance. I do want to talk about video games on this channel more often. I do play a lot of video games in what little spare time I have. And I would like to actually share footage of the games with you guys so, I can be a bit more presentable like the video game YouTubers out there. But I figured I would spend some time today and sit back and talk about one of the franchises I like so very, very much. Metal Gear Solid, the magnum opus of Hideo Kojima. I know that's not actually how you say his name. There are a lot of games in this franchise, and I have played most of them. There's 2 that I know for a fact that I have not played. 4 that I know I have not played. I have not played Metal Gear 2. I have not played Snake's Revenge, and I have not played both Metal Gear Acid titles. And the newest one, Metal Gear Survive. I haven't played that one either, so that's 5 totals. But other than that, I've played all the mainline titles. Metal Gear Solid. I've played VR Missions, which is definitely one of the games of all time. And then we've got 2, 3, and there's like 4 versions of 3. 4, Peace Walker, which is a game. And then the 2 5s. I don't know why they did that. And I have a lot of strong opinions about the series in general. The strongest opinion is I genuinely think it's a great series. It's got some highs, it's got some lows, it's got some interesting, memorable moments, and it's got some things that make me question my own sanity. And this is not going to be a game-by-game breakdown. I'm not going to go through and say, yeah, man, here's all the cool stuff about Metal Gear Solid 1. Here's all the cool stuff about VR missions, which... Fun fact, I will actually say, the funniest thing about VR missions is that its most interesting fact is the fact that the game itself is referenced in Metal Gear Solid 2 as like a thing that Raiden had to play through. That's it. That's the best part about VR missions. But all the games themselves, they are, for better or for worse, unique, interestingly designed, tactical espionage, alternate history, military, hard sci-fi. There's a lot of tropes going into this one. But they're all good. Solid Snake is a very memorable character. Most of the boss fights from throughout the series are very memorable. In fact, one of my favorite designs for a mecha, period, is still going to be Metal Gear Rex. I would be lying if I said there was a cooler robot than that. Metal Gear Rex just stands out to me as the coolest giant robot design. It just looks cool, It's hard to explain, but I will say for every game in the series, I do have like a memorable moment or 2 that I would like to just talk about beyond just gushing about the gameplay or the mechanics or the lore. Because you guys, there are dozens of YouTubers out there who have broken down the lore of Metal Gear Solid, the secrets of the games, the cool gameplay mechanics, tips and tricks, and all that jazz. I'm not going to do that here. I'm just going to share with you guys my anecdotal stuff from the games. And the big anecdote is I do genuinely like this series quite a lot. There's a lot going on here that I enjoy beyond just the characters and the gameplay. There's also the music. There's the setting for each of the games. Even 2, which is of the main titles my least enjoyed, is still quite fun. Not all of it. There's definitely parts of 2 that I hate. Most of it has to do with Raiden. Can't say I'm a fan of his, but fun fact, I'm not even that good at these games. I've owned this forever, okay? This is the first game in the series, Metal Gear Solid. It came out on the PlayStation 1. And it also had a GameCube remake called The Twin Snakes, which is difficult to find and really expensive. And I don't know why I play this one when I could find a GameCube one, but I suppose I know the answer. This is relatively cheap compared to the GameCube one, but still. Fun fact, I only beat this recently for the first time. I've had it forever. But for whatever reason, years ago, when I finally got to the final stretch of the game, the gauntlet that is the Metal Gear Solid, it's Metal Gear Rex plus Liquid Snake gauntlet fight, I just stopped playing. I jumped over to other things like Final Fantasy 7 and 8, and then of course the PlayStation 2 titles, and I just kind of let it on the burner. And I had the save file forever. So last year actually is when I finally booted this up again, as I was clearing out my backlog. Sat down and powered through it, and it didn't take me that long. It took me like an hour or so of attempts to finish the game up. So, it's probably a lot of waiting for nothing. But it is a very fun game. I have nothing positive or negative to say about VR missions. This is literally just a training compilation of minigame challenges to make you better at Metal Gear Solid, which is interesting. Then we got Metal Gear Solid 2, which puts you in the shoes of Solid Snake once again for a brief period of time. Let me see if this one had it. I could have sworn it did. But you spend most of the game playing as Raiden, the new kid on the block. There it is. This is why I love old video game manuals so much. The Metal Gear Solid 2 manual has a whole manga in it. Crazy, right? And it goes over like the introduction to the game itself, which I think is great. Like that's pretty neat. This one's smoother than Metal Gear Solid 1 in many ways. The bosses aren't as memorable in my opinion. All of the Metal Gear Solid 1 bosses are instantly recognizable in my opinion. The only one from 2 that I'd say stands out is Fat Man, because it's a fat guy rolling around on roller skates. And like, you remember that. That's the kind of detail you'll remember forever, because it's just so absurd. But Kojima can't be stopped, so of course he put a fat guy on roller skates. But man, I did not, when I first played through 2, I confess I did not like it a whole lot. The whole psychotic rant about AI controlling everything that happens towards the end of the game, that kind of threw me off. Raiden as a character didn't appeal to me that much. The final boss fight was pretty cool, though. Fighting, effectively, President Doc Ock. But moving on to the one everyone claims is the best. We've got Metal Gear Solid 3. There's like a bazillion different versions of this game, too. The PlayStation 2 version, there's like 3 different copies on the PS2. This one also has an introductory manga in the instruction manual. And I just gotta say, that's so fun. I love old video game instruction manuals just because of all the cool stuff they have in them. The artwork, the designs, all that little details. This stuff's great. Metal Gear Solid 3 is the first prequel in the Solid line. Takes you back to Cold War instead of the 1990s. There's a lot going on in 3. The overall gameplay was improved a whole lot. I'm trying to think of like something really memorable from the game that like stuck with me. And beyond just the river, there's a part in the game where you, the main character, fall off of a waterfall after being imprisoned and getting shot in the eye and taking a lot of damage. And you fall off a waterfall, or jump off a waterfall, and you wake up in a river being harassed by a ghost. And during this boss fight, all of the characters that you killed up to this point in the game walk past you. So it's kind of like, it's supposed to be like this deep, meaningful, like self-reflection, like how good you are as a person. Were you a pacifist, or were you a freaking murder hobo, or all that jazz? Cool game. But it's far too easy to kill enemies, I think, in that game. By accident, like with the CQC methods. I always kept accidentally killing NPCs, especially during the scientist area. other things that really stuck out to me as memorable. There's like a healing minigame you have to do when you take damage. You got to whip out your med kit and try to like clear the wound out properly. That kind of sticks out to me. Next we have, we got 4 left, so let's cover, still in order, release order. Metal Gear Solid 4, Gun to the Patriots. This was the PlayStation 3 title. This one is the one where I finally realized that Hideo Kojima, the guy behind these games, this is the one that I finally realized he's insane, and I might hate him. The reason is, this one really wants to be a movie. I first played Metal Gear Solid 4 fresh out of college. Way back in the days when the PS3 was still a relatively new console. Relatively. It was the hot new kid on the block. And I remember, at the time, I had gone on a gaming binge. And I played a bunch of games. And this was back during a time when I was still playing through, like, games like Resident Evil 2 for the N64 all the time, and trying my best to fucking speed run Ocarina of Time because I was an idiot. Good times. But I spent a lot of time playing video games and trying to be good at video games for a bit. It was an obsession of mine for a tiny bit. And I remember, for Metal Gear Solid 4, I played through 2 and 3, and then I hopped on 4 in kind of a, not a marathon, but it was like one day I played through 2, the next day I finished 2, the next day I hopped on 3, played 3 for a few days, and then I hopped on to Metal Gear Solid 4 because it was the new game. And I remember telling myself that I wasn't going to split it up, I was going to do it all in one go, which was a stupid, stupid decision. Because this is a long game. Not because the gameplay itself is long, but because the cutscenes take forever. And why on earth did Hideo Kojima do this? There is a point during, there's a point to the story. The point is, while I was playing this game, there was a point in my playthrough where I got exhausted. I was tired from playing video games. And a cutscene started. Not even like, well, like, I don't know, 10 hours into my gameplay, maybe? A cutscene started, and I passed out, like, as soon as the cutscene started. And I woke up almost an hour later, and the cutscene was still going. And that was the moment I realized that the guy who made this game is a crazy motherfucker. Because who the hell puts an almost hour-long cutscene into a video game? Crazy stuff. And I wasn't, like, completely asleep. I was probably like, but still, like, crazy stuff. I was zonked out of my mind. Moving on, we got Metal Gear Solid Peace Walker, and the only thing I remember about this one is that I believe this is the one where you can build your own Metal Gear robot. And then you have to fight it. It's like the final boss. It's been a while since I played this one. I might have to go through it again. But I do vaguely remember that this one has you building your own giant robot. And then you have to... I'm pretty sure that's the one where you fight it. And then we get to Metal Gear Solid 5. Ground Zeroes and Phantom Pain. The big fucking finale of the franchise. And there's a lot of things that could be said about this. Again, I'm not a dedicated Metal Gear Solid YouTuber or anything like that. I'm not even a dedicated video game YouTuber. I'm just a crazy uncle sharing about his thoughts on a random game franchise. When Ground Zeroes first released, okay, there was a lot of anticipation for it. There was a lot of people with a lot of high expectations and a lot of high hopes. And I remember release weekend, and the reviews started trickling in from various websites and various blog posts and people talking about it. And I remember the sheer disappointment of this game. And I remember how many people were absolutely livid at the idea of even buying it. And I was going to buy it on release week because I had been a huge fan of Metal Gear Solid by that point. Wanted to play through it. Wanted to play more of it. Wanted to see what Kojima had cooked up next. But then Ground Zeroes turned out to be a glorified tech demo. Not even a very long one. The game itself can be beaten in like half an hour. Something like that. And there's optional stuff. There's side missions you can do to extend your time a bit. But I ended up not playing it until well after I had beaten the next game, The Phantom Pain. Because I had waited until it was on discount at one of the local, I think it was a GameStop. I bought it from for like $10. Maybe less. Maybe like $5. Not much to say about it. There's nothing memorable about the game besides the fact that it's short as hell. Because it is short. It's one main mission you got to get through. Serves as basically a tech demo and an explanation for what's going on here. And then we get to the Phantom Pain. The final Hideo Kojima installment in the series. And there's a lot of things I can say about the Phantom Pain. I could go over the story. The convoluted fucking story. I can go over the mission structure of the game. I can talk about the fact that the game's not even technically done. They got like halfway through and then decided, fuck it, it's good enough, send it out. And I'm not going to talk about any of that stuff. I'm not going to regale you guys with more MGS5 reviews or talking about all the cool, well, all too cool companions you can take out with you. Because I don't count the horse, and I don't count D-Walker. Those are not companions. A horse is a horse. And D-Walker doesn't do shit by himself. But I'm not going to do that. Instead, I'm just going to say that of the games in the franchise, Metal Gear Solid 5 is not my favorite. In fact, I wouldn't even say it's in my top 3. If I had to guess, it would probably be Metal Gear Solid 4, 3, and 1 at this point. Because 1's just so memorable. Those are probably my top 3. But this is the one I play most often. Why? I don't know. This is really replayable. It's easy to just boot up on your PS4 and load up a mission and go play a mission for a bit. You know, spend 20 minutes running through the overworld, shooting some NPCs and kidnapping some guys to send back to Mother Base and seeing a little cutscene where you learn more of the esoteric story going on. It's crazy stuff. Poorly constructed game in terms of like actual story. This is the least Metal Gear game because the main character doesn't talk at all. He doesn't interact with the world around him at all, unlike the other Solid Snakes who all talk to fucking everyone and repeat what everyone's saying. It's crazy stuff. But despite the fact that I don't think it's that great, despite the fact that it's literally incomplete, it's just the easiest one to pick up and play. And I think that has its own charm to it. You know, there's something about just being able to turn something on for 20 minutes when you're looking for a way to kill some time and just play a game. That has its own appeal. That does. So there you have it. It's my quick ramble. Quick being the, I guess, lie. But yeah, my quick overview of the Metal Gear Solid franchise and my general thoughts on it. I overall am a huge fan of the series. I do intend to, like I said, I want to get a capture card at some point and make these kind of videos look more professional for you guys, so it's not just me standing here, sitting here, boring you with my rambles about a video game that I could honestly just be playing this, but whatever. This is a channel where I share my thoughts, so consider my thoughts shared. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you didn't, feel free to insult me down below. Like, share, subscribe, comment, whatever you want to comment. Check out the Discord, check out the Patreon. Thank you guys so much for sticking through to the end. If you did, I'll see you next time.